Here's the entire evolution of Garfield, from a grumpy comic strip side character to CG movie star, meme legend, and 46 years of lasagna-fueled chaos. Let's get into it. From John to icon. Garfield technically began life in 1976 in a local comic strip called John, where Jim Davis originally centered things on John Arbuckle before realizing the fat orange cat was the real star. By June 19th, 1978, the strip was officially renamed Garfield, launched in 41 newspapers, and very quickly exploded into national syndication thanks to its simple premise: a lazy cat, a dorky owner, and a lovable but clueless dog. Early Garfield was visually very different. Low to the ground, chunky, with tiny legs and half-closed eyes, basically a furry meatball that hated Mondays. The comedy locked in fast. Garfield loved lasagna, slept constantly, and delivered sarcastic thought bubbles that poked fun at diets, work, and everyday human misery. As the strip spread to hundreds of newspapers, Garfield became one of the most recognizable comic characters on Earth, rivaling icons like Snoopy and Mickey in merch and global reach. And hey, before going further into 46 years of cat chaos, if you enjoy deep dives into cartoon history, consider subscribing so this channel can afford Garfield's lasagna bill, which is apparently larger than the national debt. First, TV specials. Garfield's jump to animation began with a brief appearance in the 1980 TV movie The Fantastic Funnies, followed by the first true special, Here Comes Garfield, in 1982, where Lorenzo Music's iconic, sleepy, deadpan voice defined the character for a generation. That special centered on Garfield trying to rescue Odie from the dog pound, cementing Odie as the loyal, if dim, sidekick who constantly gets dragged into Garfield's schemes. The success of that special kicked off a run of TV movies that treated Garfield like a legit TV event. Garfield on the Town, 1983, took him into the city, reuniting him with his rough-around-the-edges feline family, adding surprising emotional depth to a cat mostly known for napping. Garfield in the Rough, 1984, threw John, Garfield, and Odie into the woods with a loose panther on the prowl, mixing cozy camping gags with real danger for the boys. By now, Garfield's personality on screen, cynical, cowardly until it really counts, yet secretly caring, had synced perfectly with the strip and made him a staple of family TV. Holiday hits. The mid-80s pushed Garfield into seasonal tradition territory. Garfield's Halloween Adventure, 1985, combined kid-friendly trick-or-treating with a surprisingly creepy haunted house and ghost pirates looking for lost treasure, giving Garfield one of his most memorable specials. Garfield in Paradise, 1986, sent John, Garfield, and Odie to a tropical island for a mix of romance, car culture parody, and a volcano crisis, proving the franchise could spoof almost anything and still feel very Garfield. Garfield Goes Hollywood, 1987, turned the trio into talent show hopefuls aiming for stardom, poking fun at showbiz culture while keeping Garfield's core laziness intact. Then came A Garfield Christmas, 1987, where the gang visits John's family farm and Garfield bonds with John's grandmother, delivering genuine emotion and a true meaning of Christmas, feeling that fans still remember fondly. By the late 80s, Garfield wasn't just a comic strip character anymore. He was a TV holiday event you expected to see on air every year. Garfield and Friends. In 1988, Garfield fully conquered television with the weekly animated series Garfield and Friends, which ran through the early 90s and paired Garfield segments with the U.S. Acres Farm Animal cast. The show leaned into gag-driven storytelling, Garfield tormenting John, Odie's endless optimism, Nermal's cuteness wars, and a revolving door of side characters, all wrapped in meta-humor and fourth-wall jokes. This era solidified the definitive 80s-90s Garfield look: fatter cheeks, bigger eyes, and a more upright stance that worked well in animation and merch. Meanwhile, one-shot specials kept expanding his universe. Garfield's 9 Lives reimagined Garfield in different eras and genres, from prehistoric cat to sci-fi astronaut, showing how flexible the character's core personality is. Specials like Garfield's Babes and Bullets, Garfield's Feline Fantasies, and Garfield's Thanksgiving dropped him into detective noir, globe-trotting adventure, and holiday food coma scenarios, pushing him beyond simple home and couch stories. By the early 90s, Garfield had proven he could survive in almost any genre as long as sarcasm and snacks were involved. The quiet 90s. As the 90s rolled on, Garfield's presence shifted more into crossovers, PSAs, and advertising, even as the daily strip continued steadily in newspapers worldwide. He popped up in Cartoon All-Stars to the Rescue, 1990, an anti-drug TV special where multiple cartoon icons teamed up, using his recognizable attitude to help deliver a serious message to kids. Garfield also appeared in commercials, including as an Alpo spokescat, leaning into his role as a food-obsessed mascot that brands could easily plug into campaigns. The animated TV spotlight dimmed a bit in the mid to late 90s, but Garfield never really disappeared. He settled into being a steady newspaper presence, greeting card favorite, and merchandising powerhouse with plush toys, mugs, and especially those famous suction cup car window Garfields. The strip's art refined further with smoother lines, cleaner shapes, and a more standardized on-model design to support massive reproduction across products and print. This quieter era set the stage for his big reinvention in the 2000s. 2000s movie comeback. Garfield's biggest mainstream comeback hit in 2004 with the live-action/CG hybrid, Garfield the Movie, where the cat was rendered in CG and voiced by Bill Murray. The story followed Garfield's jealousy toward new dog Odie, who gets kidnapped, forcing Garfield into a reluctant rescue mission that emphasized his selfish-turned-heroic arc. The movie received mixed to negative reviews, but did well at the box office, proving the character still had theatrical pull decades after his debut. A sequel, Garfield, A Tale of Two Kitties, 2006, transported Garfield to England and into a Prince and Pauper-style royal cat swap, further exaggerating his love of luxury and hatred of effort. Around the same time, fully animated CG movies like Garfield Gets Real, 2007, Garfield's Fun Fest, 2008, and Garfield's Pet Force, 2009, reimagined Garfield's world as a meta comic strip universe, even turning him and his friends into superheroes in Pet Force. These projects introduced a new main voice, Frank Welker, and helped transition Garfield into full CG territory ahead of his next big TV reinvention. The Garfield Show era. The Garfield Show, a CG animated series launched around 2009, brought Garfield back to episodic TV with modern 3D visuals and kid-friendly globe-trotting stories. The series updated the tone, still sarcastic but less mean, with plots involving time travel, sci-fi tech, and bigger adventures than the mostly domestic Garfield and Friends days. Garfield spoke out loud rather than just thinking his dialogue, but only other animals typically understood him, keeping a playful divide between human and pet worlds. The show introduced or elevated side characters like Vito the Italian chef and Harry the stray cat, expanding Garfield's social circle beyond just John, Odie, and Nermal. Internationally, this series helped cement Garfield as a global kids brand, airing in many countries and spawning home video releases and tie-in products. The CG style remained faithful to the evolved comic strip model, while making him more toy and game-ready in an era when 3D animation dominated children's TV. Memes and originals. During the 2010s, Garfield started appearing as a meta-joke and cameo machine in other shows. He showed up in sketch series like Robot Chicken and was referenced in Mad and The Simpsons, usually poking fun at his own popularity, lasagna obsession, and Monday hatred. Online, fan creations turned him into everything from edgy horror mascot, John-style memes, to bizarre alternate universe versions, proving how deeply embedded Garfield was in internet culture. Officially, the franchise experimented with format through Garfield Originals, a 2D French animated short series that premiered in 2019. These shorts relied heavily on physical comedy and near-silent storytelling, focusing on slapstick between Garfield, Odie, and John, rather than dialogue-heavy banter. The series ran in very short episodes, perfect for modern attention spans and online distribution, and extended its presence to new platforms and international audiences. This era showed Garfield could survive both as a joking meme and as a polished official brand at the same time. 2024 movie reboot. In 2024, Garfield returned to the big screen in The Garfield Movie, a fully animated theatrical feature with Chris Pratt voicing the title cat. The film reframed Garfield's backstory by introducing his estranged father, Vic, a scruffy street cat who pulls Garfield and Odie into a high-stakes heist involving an old partner-turned-villain named Jinx and a wild mission at a dairy facility. The story balances action comedy with emotional beats about abandonment, found family, and Garfield learning why Vic left him and how much he actually cared. Visually, the movie gives Garfield a smoother, stylized CG look that keeps his iconic silhouette. Round body, big eyes, thick stripes, while making him more expressive for modern audiences. Critics were mixed, but the film was a box office success, earning over 4 times its budget and introducing Garfield to kids who may never have seen a newspaper comic strip in their lives. A sequel has already been put into development, signaling a new cinematic era for the lasagna-loving cat. Design over time. Across 46 years, Garfield's design has shifted gradually from a low, heavy, almost realistic cat blob into a more upright, cartoony, plush-ready character with huge eyes and rounded features. In the late 70s, his eyes were squinty and his body was long and low, but by 1979 to 1983, he had become rounder, cuter, and more vertical, a look that stayed largely consistent through the 80s and 90s. CG adaptations then softened and streamlined him further, emphasizing facial expression and smooth animation over detailed fur lines. Personality-wise, early Garfield could be a bit harsher, more openly mean to Odie and John, while later versions in kids' TV and movies sanded him into more of a lovable jerk with a soft heart. The core trait stayed. He hates Mondays, loves food, avoids effort, and uses sarcasm to comment on human habits. But newer stories give him more heroic or emotional moments, like reconciling with his dad in the 2024 film. Through all of this, his voice, whether Lorenzo Music, Bill Murray, Frank Welker, or Chris Pratt, always leans into that laid-back, world-weary delivery that makes even the simplest joke land. Merch and impact. Beyond screens, Garfield became a merchandising titan. Toys, clothing, mugs, calendars, video games, and especially those classic car window plushes made him an everyday presence in homes and cars. By the 2000s, Garfield-branded products and licensing deals had reached hundreds of millions of people worldwide, with the strip running in thousands of newspapers and translated into many languages. His simple, emotionally relatable gag structure, hating mornings, loving comfort food, dodging responsibility, made him universally understood, even without much dialogue. Video games and digital appearances kept him alive with younger audiences. From early PC and console titles to mobile games and social media stickers, Garfield adapted better than many older comic strip characters. Meanwhile, the internet's love of remixing and parody turned him into a recurring meme template, carrying his image far beyond traditional fandom. This combination of official content and fan reinterpretation helped Garfield stay culturally relevant across generations. Garfield's future. As of now, Garfield sits in a rare position. A 70s-born newspaper character who still gets new TV content, big theatrical movies, and viral memes in the 2020s. Reruns of classic strips continue alongside later material while Garfield Originals and The Garfield Show keep circulating on streaming and online platforms, making it easy for new fans to discover him at any age. With a sequel to the 2024 film in development, studios clearly see long-term potential in building a Garfield cinematic franchise. What makes Garfield endure is the balance between timeless and adaptable. The basic joke of a lazy cat dunking on human responsibilities never goes out of style, but the settings, heists, time travel, talent shows, haunted houses, change with each new era. Over 46 years, Garfield has shifted from newsprint panels to HD cinema, from thought bubbles to CG monologues without losing that core identity. A cat who would rather sleep, eat, and complain, unless his friends or family truly need him.